Hi guys, and welcome to the Lowland League Catchup. It's myself, Rampant FM, and today I'm joined by Mozza. How you doing, mate?
I'm good, how's you?
Quite tired. Obviously, I've been doing my training course the last few days. Almost punched the guy in the face today, but he never. He was meant to parry my punch, eh? And obviously, if you're being serious about it, you have to. I'm going to go full swing at him if he's meant to parry it. Eh? I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna do it slowly just for his benefit, eh? So. Yeah.
I mean, it's a standard weekend for you going full swing, isn't it?
And obviously, Shaun, how are you doing, mate?
I'm good, thanks.
Obviously, I didn't see much of the football guys because I was in Edinburgh the last sort of few days, as I mentioned. But you guys obviously went to the East Kilbride away trip to Cove, which we'll speak about later. But we did have some Lowland League Cup fixtures. Do you want to start us off, Shaun, with the Spartans game?
Yeah, absolutely. So, Spartans were welcoming Edinburgh Uni Ainsley Park for the first of the 4 quarter-finals, or 3 on Saturday and 1 that's going ahead today. So it was kicked off with an early race down the line by Gary Chen. He whipped in a cross, but the Edinburgh Uni keeper Davidson was able to, it says, melts Mark Gare with a punch, and the defender needs a sponge. So he was obviously down for a wee bit, had to bring out the magic sponge to get him sorted there. It was a good defensive header away from the goal by Adam Corbett, just a pity it was from our own corner, from Spartan's own corner. Then after 15 minutes, it was the first goal of the game. It was Blair Atkinson that continued his fine goal scoring form with a 15-yard low drive to give Spartans the lead to make it 1-0. There was a cross into the box where Scott Maxwell was found, maybe just too much time to think about the finish, and the keeper was able to recover for the save. It's good play in midfield by Spartans, and a sweeping move saw the ball fall to the feet of Aaron Scott. He was able to find the roof of the net, but unfortunately it was for one of the 5-a-side cages. So the game stayed at 1-0. After 40 minutes it was a second goal. This time it was Scott Maxwell that finished after Blair Atkinson hurdles a challenge that later sees his man booked. It was wasn't going great for the visitors, and the gaffer was sent from the dugout after his over-eagerness. Second half, at half time it was 2-0 to Spartans. The second half, after 52 minutes, there was a third goal. Didn't have to wait long to atone for his previous chance, and it was 3-0, and a Blair Atkinson slides home. On the 82nd minute, Spartans put it to bed with Musway across, and it was Scott Maxwell with a bullet header from close range to make it 4-0. Spartans finished 4-0 winners on the day.
Yeah, pretty much as expected. I don't think when we discussed it last week, Mozza, that we were expecting Edinburgh Uni to do anything against Spartans, especially at Ainsley Park. It's good to see the likes of Blair Atkinson doing well. He's been playing really well towards the end of the season. Obviously rapid pace, but also I think a guy that I was quite impressed with, and I have been, that's maybe not had as many mentions when we've talked about Spartans, as Scott Maxwell. He played incredible against Kelty, but I think obviously a lot of the attention was on the under-20s guys, but again, a man-of-match performance for Spartans. But as I said, pretty much expected. A lot of the Edinburgh Uni guys, similar to Stirling Uni, obviously they'll be leaving the club, if you will, moving on after their exams, and it'll be interesting to see what kind of Edinburgh Uni we get next season. I'm sure they'll enjoy their holidays, and then they'll look forward to that intake next season. But certainly Spartans, they'll be going out with full of confidence, obviously claiming top 4 in the league, and then they just went from strength to strength over the last few weeks, playing really well. Certainly on the up. I wouldn't want to face them in this competition because I think they'll be looking for a bit of silverware, I would imagine.
Yeah, well, pretty much every team left now that you're going to get into the semi-finals will be one eye in the title, won't they? As much as it's not the most prestigious cup in the entire season, you'd probably argue the South of Scotland would be the Challenge Cup, but it's a nice trophy to get in the bag at the end of the season to end on a high, isn't it? So, yeah, Spartans did. It was the one game that we all agreed on, I think, listening back to the last pod we did, that they've gone exactly, they've done exactly what we expected them to do, and they've beaten Edinburgh Uni with a wee bit to spare by the looks of things. But let's not take away from the job Dorian's done there this year. They've had a cracking season because not just ourselves, I think most people were touting them as possible relegation candidates at the start of the season here, and they've never really been in danger of that. They've always been a wee step ahead of the team scrapping at the bottom of the league, and they've picked out a couple of decent results here and there as well. I don't think many folk would have seen them keeping tabs with Stirling Uni either, in terms of the battle of the unis. So all in all, pretty decent season, and I've no doubt they'll be ready to go again with a new intake come next time.
No, absolutely, and I think one other thing that's worth noting is it's brilliant to see Blair Atkinson getting on the score sheet again. He's been on fire towards the end of the season, and that's what they want us there. Gearing up for another campaign next year. And as far as the cup goes, I think it's a brilliant way to just fill in the last few weekends while all the playoff battles are going on. And like you say, I think it's a nice way to finish off the year, I think.
So moving on to our next fixture, it was Cumbernauld Colts versus East Stirlingshire. Quite an interesting game, obviously. Cumbernauld Colts, the holders, if you will, but no longer because they were put out 2-1 by Shire. Less than 1 minute in, and it was 1-0 Colts. Fraser's team getting on the score sheet there. Corner by Scott Gray to whip it in with his left foot from the right side. Liam Allison headed it over for a decent chance for East Stirlingshire. Just before half time, Shire wore down to 10 men after Scott Gray got sent off. Cumbernauld Colts, there was no changes at half time. It was a long ball to Liam Allison, who crosses for Andy Rogers to finish to equalise in the second half. There was a few other chances for Shire. They seemed to obviously get a few chances, even though despite being down to 10 men. It was an error by Cumbernauld Colts, who the keeper gives the ball straight to Ross Allam to make it 2-1. It was a bit of argy-bargy towards the end. A few of the guys, I think we mentioned this last week, Derek, obviously there was a bit of tension I think in the previous games. It was all kicking off, but Shire did get the win there. Shire, another one that I think again that we'd probably want to finish the season with a trophy. Certainly it sounded like they played well to beat Colts, especially with going down to 10 men.
Yeah, and it's one of the few times I can sit here and actually say a prediction of mine came through, so I'm pretty happy with this, to be honest. It's not often I say something's going to happen, like a Towsy game, and then it actually comes through. But given that they were down to 10 men for more than half the game, to come back for 1-0 down and win that is a brilliant performance, especially against the reigning champs and away at Broadwood as well. But yeah, it just sounds like they've gone there, they've managed to grind it out. A couple of moments of quality have done. I've made the difference. I say a couple of moments of quality. It's always helpful when the opposition keeper gifts you a goal as well. But well done to Shire, and they keep going marching on. Andy Rogers heavily involved as well. Given that he's now signed on till next season, end of next season, to keep playing as well. He'll be delighted to still be in the thick of things. And unfortunately for Colts, because he had a good wee run there, that's the end of their season. They'll give the trophy up to somebody else, but it's another campaign that it's a story of what if, I think, for Cumbernauld, that they could have pushed on a wee bit higher in the league, but ultimately they've always been comfortable where they've finished up, and they'll be looking ahead. Gives them plenty of time to plan ahead now for next season and try and kind of keep moving up and do better.
Yeah, absolutely. Colts are a team that have always performed in the past few seasons relatively well in the Lowland League. I think 7th is their lowest finish that they've had, so it just shows how competitive the league's been this year. It's good to see Ross Allam getting on the score sheet as well. I mean, for when you look at the scorers throughout the season, you've got your guys at East Kilbride and Kelty and BSC at the top of the league that have been knocking them in, which you'd expect for the teams at the top. But he's been right up there with them as well this season, just knocking them in for East Stirlingshire. So it's credit where credit's due. He's been brilliant for them this year.
Speaking about predictions, Mozza, I think all the teams that I predicted, or I said last week that I wanted to see if they could do well, I think all the favourites kind of won, to be honest, which we'll obviously get into. But I think Sean Brownwatch, he came on as a substitute. Obviously, he's moving to Shire next season. Really decent signing for them. I'll be interested to see what Colts do. I think on the how they strengthen their side. Obviously, there's a lot of talk of the likes of BSC, Kelty, Now, you know, like the Spartans and stuff like that. But I want to see what Colts do, basically, and see if they can strengthen any more than some of the teams around them. Obviously, they want to improve on the 7th finish and be in that sort of top half of the table going into next season.
I think they're at a turning point now, a bit of a crossroads, because now that Bonnyrigg, spoiler alert, look like they might be joining the league as well, obviously pending the SFA side of things, the licensing, and you've got East Kilbride still around, you've got BSC, Kelty, all these teams that will be strengthening, and they're already working on it as well. Colts are either going to have to kind of keep tabs and improve themselves, or they're in danger of falling away from the top half, I'd suggest. So it'll be interesting to see how they approach it. Their tactic recently, their kind of approach has been to get talented young players and bring them through. So we'll see if they keep persisting with that, or if they try to switch things up a little bit.
They've definitely been one of the quieter teams since the league's finished up, as far as bringing new players in, so it will be interesting to see.
Do you want to take us through the St Johnstone Reserves game?
Yeah, I would absolutely love to take you through St Johnstone B versus Gallifreydine. So anyone that doesn't get the reference there, BSC have obviously benefited this year from having a couple of the St Johnstone boys on loan, a couple of young talents, and they've been great, I have to say. But travelled down to Gallifreydine in the quarterfinals of the Lowland Cup here, and it ultimately wasn't as routine as the scoreline suggests, but I'll take you through it. Basically, started off 25th minute, goal for BSC, and it was that man Tamor putting the I was going to say the Alloa side there by a wee Freudian slip, the Glasgow side ahead. Martin Green on the assist, which he's really been good at recently. Half time was 1-0, so there wasn't too much action. Into the second half, it was basically the last 20 minutes the game exploded into life. So started off, Tamor doubled the lead, 72nd minute, found some space in the box and did what he does best. He smashed the strike in off the post and in. So cracking finish. But Gala weren't going to lie down from there. They've had a cracking season themselves and they wanted to have their say. Rory Payton managed to get a goal back. In the last 5-10 minutes, because of that, were a bit interesting, shall we say, for BSC, trying to kind of hang on, but ultimately they managed to get the clinching goal in the counter-attack to make it 3-1, and it was Tamor's hat-trick. Managed to slide the ball in the bottom corner underneath the keeper to basically seal the deal in the final minute. And yeah, it's another strong side that have got their eyes on this trophy into the semi-finals, so it's beginning to shape up as a really strong lineup, and I'm looking forward to seeing these final games as they come up.
I think BSC have gone out and they've done kind of what you expected them to do, but at the same time Gala have been known to cause upsets, and I don't think they've laid down for this one. They've obviously gone out fighting, and they could have pinched it at the end there, especially after that Rory Payton goal on the 84th minute. That's a good time to switch the momentum up. But yeah, Tamor, he made sure that the BSC done the business, made it 3-1 with another hat-trick, so well done to BSC.
Absolutely, and obviously it was a bit derogatory to BSC there, but it was only I think they tweeted out, they found out obviously that St Johnstone are not going to have a reserve team next season, so I thought that was quite funny that they liked that, and obviously I mean, it's an interesting thing, obviously, because BSC are a top team in the league. They have to be to get second. I think in fairness, a lot of the loan signings were due to the likes of a lot of injuries that they had early on.
Yeah.
Obviously, the serious one to Adam Strachan and stuff. But Swifty's done a fantastic job to doing what he's brought in, developing these players. I just think the approach might change next season. I think they'll want to maybe bring in their own sort of guys. We've seen guys like Thomas Collins recently doing really well. Obviously, Tamor, Martin Green, I think have signed up for next season. So I think they need to build on that. But it's smart use of the loan market, if you will, at this level. And we've seen it with other teams. We've seen it with like Gal, obviously Paddy Martin and Rory Payton as well. But certainly, I think BSC, it's going to be a weird one, especially. I think Spartans will just only improve. I think they'll be wanting to be back up top end. Obviously, Kelty are still there. It depends. I don't know what sort of approach they're going to take next, even if it's going to change much, or if they will be bringing in the sort of the higher youth talents, if you will, from like the likes of St Johnstone, as we've seen this season.
Yeah, I think you're right. You don't want to get over reliant on loans, and it was pretty much a matter of needs must for BSC earlier on in the season. When you had an injury list, about 7 or 8 first teamers were crocked at one point, and as you say, Swifty's done a brilliant job to keep the wheels on the track and keep going at that point. Like names that were relied on the season before, like Stevie Murray and so on, have kind of fell by the wayside. So yeah, they was kind of forced to bring in help from the young lads from the clubs above. Carlo Pignatello is another one that came in, Livingston and so on. But they've all done a fantastic shift, and I'd see still a couple of loan signings coming in next season, but quite possibly more air reliance, injury dependent on the squad that's already there. It's just one of these things that was the way the season played out this time round.
So we'll get into the final East of Scotland playoff game for the teams, the 3 teams, obviously Pennycook, Broxburn and Bonnyrigg. It was Broxburn at home against Bonnyrigg Rose. A lot of people, I think, at the start of this whole thing, they expected Bonnyrigg to basically be favourites, but I think in both the games, Pennycook and the Broxburn game, it was certainly very close, and this game was just mad. I was keeping up with it as much as I could when I was in Edinburgh, but to begin with, obviously Bonnyrigg went down to 10 men, having their goalkeeper sent off after half an hour. Broxburn took full advantage. Andrews does well to parry the free kick, but the home side score from the rebound 4 minutes later, and just before half time, 5 minutes, it was a low drilled strike from outside the box to double Broxburn's lead. 2-0 at half time, and it didn't look likely that Bonnyrigg. I'm sure Broxburn just needed a 2-0 sort of deficit to win the actual East of Scotland, if you will. But it's I went a bit mental with it. I was getting reports from a few guys that were at the game, obviously. I think from what I heard, the sending off was a wee bit harsh. From what I heard, but obviously they dealt with it fantastically. Bonnyrigg Rose had a penalty waved away 5 minutes into the second half, but Curry dinks into the box and Hoskins heads over the keeper, and then obviously they put on the pressure in the last 20 minutes. The ball goes into the box, drops Murrow and drops to Murrow and bullets into the net to equalise on the 84th minute, and unbelievably Bonnyrigg managed to get the winner. Unbelievable. It was right at the end, to be honest, because obviously Broxburn, they needed to win that game to have any chance. The Broxburn keeper goes up for the corner. Bonnyrigg break, and Turner scores to make it 3-2. Absolute scenes for Bonnyrigg. But if we can just maybe discuss the attendances, I can't remember what the Pennycook game was, but certainly Bonnyrigg, midweek, over 1,000 people, and this one had 956 people, I think, at the game.
Yeah, I think it was 2,500 over the 3 legs. 2,500 is incredible, isn't it?
Yeah, it's definitely incredible, and fair play to the clubs, as well as East of Scotland in general. I mean, promoting that, the fans that turned up, it certainly was exciting. Given the fact that I think, as I mentioned, I think Bonnyriggs were favourites. We've been speaking about Bonnyrigg for a wee while, I think, Derek, but it wasn't easy for them, certainly, coming back from in the game with 10 men.
They did it the hard way, to put it mildly. I mean, I know we're talking about them kind of going down to 10 men and it was a keeper that gets sent off, but it wasn't just 10 men they were playing with. For the last half hour, it was basically 9 men. They had a boy that was crocked, and they couldn't sub him because they'd used all their subs. So basically, with 9.5 men, they've managed to somehow come back from 2-0 down, stayed in disappointment in the face, to basically clinch the title and essentially be designated for promotion. So massive congratulations to them, because that's that's a team that's made of stern stuff. When you're staying kind of your season ending with a whimper and everything going against you, and you find the resolve to come through and do that, absolutely brilliant. You've got to feel for Broxburn though. They were really classy in defeat as well with the messages they were putting out. But when you're 2-0 up, all you have to do is win the game by kind of 2 clear goals, or if you get 3 and then on the scoreline you're promoted as well. You've got to feel for them. They've thrown it away against the 10 men as well, but you've got to, I think the main thing is you've just got to say well done to Rose, and they'll be a fantastic addition to this Lowland League as and when it all gets sorted out.
Yeah, and there was, I think throughout that game, obviously the game itself sounded like it was fully action, but throughout that game there was 5 different times when they were in pole position. So obviously right there at the beginning it was after the first goal, after Gordon Donaldson scores, it was Penny Cook that were getting promoted. After Ross Nimmo scored, it was Broxburn that were getting promoted. When Dean Hoskins scored the first for Bonnyrigg, it was back to Penny Cook getting promoted, and then when Aaron Murrell scored, it was Bonnyrigg that were winning and they ultimately went up. But I mean, that to have over 90 minutes, the 3 different teams swapping between who was getting promoted, it was no shortage of drama like at the end of the East of Scotland League.
Yeah, brilliant.
Absolutely, and I think we have to give a wee shout out to Pennycook as well, who were actually playing on the same day. They were playing in the King Cup against Linlithgow Rose. Obviously it was a 3-3 draw, went into extra time and they lost out on a penalty shootout. Tony Bigg described it as an absolute roller coaster of emotions, both here and obviously events elsewhere, but all 3 of them teams I think would have been excellent additions to the Lowland League, and there's obviously still a chance I think of more than one team coming from the East of Scotland if my facts are correct. It's a wee bit of a shame how it's ended. I think I tweeted out saying something along the lines like it's a shame that there's only one winner in that, because I think all in all I think they're all winners in terms, and I think even going into next season, the East of Scotland Premier is going to be a fantastic league to be involved in.
Yeah, definitely. I think just to try and clear it up for people, because even myself and Sean yesterday were a wee bit kind of in and out with the way things are going to set up, taking licensing at the side. I think the way it breaks down is Dalpeter are safe regardless in the league. So basically Whitehill are relegated. If Cove win the playoff that we'll get into, then Berwick come down and it would just be Bonnyrigg coming up. But if Berwick stay up, I think there will be a second East of Scotland team, but that second team might well be down to application rather than merit. So you'd suspect Pennycook would be in a strong position to apply for it, given that they've came second in the kind of playoff round robin, but it might not necessarily be them coming up, if that all makes sense.
Yeah, hopefully it makes sense, because we obviously have mentioned licensing for so long, Derek. We don't know ourselves. A lot of people have been asking, and some people assuming things, I noticed on Twitter, that certain teams aren't going to go anywhere and whatnot, but no one knows. Unless you're the SFA, I don't think anyone knows at this moment in time. So we're only going with what the information that everyone else has, but let's not assume anything. All we can do at this moment in time is obviously congratulate Bonnyrigg Rose on winning the East of Scotland, and we hope to see them in the Lowland League next season, certainly, because the club there. I didn't really know too much about Bonnyrigg. I think I'd watched them maybe years and years ago, but certainly they would be a fantastic addition. I think they've got a really decent fan base, a really decent community club. They do a lot of things right that I like, in terms of a video and keeping their fans voting for man of the match and stuff like that. Things that I feel other clubs should be doing a wee bit better, and there would be a real welcome addition to the Lowland League, in my opinion. Yeah,
proper community club. BSC have been lucky enough to play them twice this year, once in pre-season and once in the Cups, and both times classy fans, really decent outfit on the pitch, and they'll give any team trouble at our level. And as you say, they're quite good in terms of the more modern side of things, of getting the fans involved online, and just a well-run club from top to bottom, from what I can tell.
So I wasn't there, obviously, but guys went up to Aberdeen to watch Cove Rangers versus East Kilbride in the second leg. Do you want one of you want to run through the game?
I mean, I think you caught a lot of the game while I was just waiting in the queue for a pie. That was a long queue, like. Myself and Mozza were up in Aberdeen. We took the long drive up there to watch East Kilbride try and come back for a one goal deficit. Early on, to be honest, the teams were quite evenly matched early on in the game. There was chances for East Kilbride. Winters Cross was able to find Wood at the back post, but unfortunately strike went straight to the keeper. It was definitely a missed opportunity quite early on. Midway through the half, it looked a lot like East Kilbride were doing really well, but Cove, I think, always looked dangerous. And after that, it was BJ Call that gave the ball away, and it was Cove that broke down the left, and Scully's cross was able to find Mitch Megginson, who just quite easily prodded the ball home from close range to give Cove a 1-0 advantage and take it to 3-1 on aggregate. On the 36-minute mark, Martin Scott was sent off for a nasty stamp on BJ Call, and Call got subsequently booked for his reaction. He got a yellow, but it looked like East Kilbride would be in with a wee bit of a shout with the one-man advantage there. However, Kilby did shoot himself in the foot a bit, and there was a bit of mix-up between Proctor and Anderson, which gifted the ball again to Megginson 20 yards out, and it was quite an easy finish for him, and it kind of looked like East Kilbride were starting to look for a way back in when they snatched that one and took it to 4-1 on aggregate. Shortly after that, BJ Call fouled Megginson on the halfway line. It was a definite foul, and after obviously being in the book again, well, it's been reported by East Kilbride side of things that it didn't look as though he was going to get booked, but Cove players crowded around him and he was encouraged to change his mind. Basically, his second yellow, that took it to 10v10. It finished half time 2-0 to Cove, 4-1 on aggregate. And when the second half started with 10v10, East Kilbride, they still kept plugging away, but it always seemed like Cove were playing with one or two extra players, to be honest. Cove Rangers had only conceded the 4 goals at home all season, so it was always going to be a tough ask, and being 4-1 down on that aggregate was definitely a challenge. And after the 75th minute, it was 3-0 to Cove. It was I know Mozza had pointed him out pretty early on as a player he was, but it was Masson that scored from 10 yards out after Yule's pass, and that was after he slipped a little bit as well, so they were definitely given more time than they should have been afforded. The game finished 3-0, 5-1 on aggregate. Cove obviously go on to play Berwick in at the end of their push for promotion this year.
Yeah, so obviously disappointing for Kilby and the fans. There was a great fan numbers that jumped up to Aberdeen alongside ourselves. The overall crowd was just over 1,100, if I remember rightly. Quite a few of that number were up from the Glasgow area. But yeah, after the game, need to say thanks to Stuart Malcolm for giving us a bit of time, asked him a couple of questions and hear what his thoughts. Obviously, tough one to take after the game. What are your immediate thoughts after the final whistle?
Well, we're bitterly disappointed. The first game, we're out of character performance for us. And the second game, another two mistakes cost us dearly. And sending off just before half time. But listen, the guys have been absolutely magnificent. We win the league by I think 11 points, I think it is. And we won it pretty early, and we kind of move into the playoff games, and that possibly, out of the bite of the league games and the 3 points that you're battling for every week, without that kind of real spark. Maybe if I look back, we can take it back to some of those games that trying to keep the real spark about the performances with a couple of little weeks. But these guys have been brilliant, absolutely magnificent. We've got them playing a certain way, and again they've been sensational. Each and every one of them have got a good blend of experience and young ones that have come through the system. They've been absolutely. Again, I couldn't have wished for any better. We added a few in January, and they've been great to come in. So the boys in there are bitterly disappointed. We thought we had a real fighting chance to get ourselves promoted this year, and we thought we were well equipped. But for me, to them, I want to thank them because they've been absolutely they've been excellent. I know I keep reiterating it, but they'll go away, break, they'll swallow the pill, and then they'll come back for a pre-season next year and see how they go.
So the thoughts are obviously disappointed. Stuart Malcolm there after the 5-1 aggregate loss. But to be honest, Shaun, we had this chat coming back down the road. I think Cove were clearly the better side over the two legs, and I'd very much expect him to go and beat Berwick now and get up to the SPFL.
Yeah, they were really strong. I've seen East Kilbride. This is the third time I've seen East Kilbride, and it was night and day versus how they've played in their previous two games, and those were against Spartans and Kelty, two good teams, but they really struggled against Cove. I think their style of play, they're strong. They've got a lot of big guys in their team. They're a very good side, and I think they'll go down to Berwick, and I think they'll definitely put in a performance down there. Yeah,
it was quite interesting. I think Cove got their tactics spot on for both legs, from what I could tell from the highlights of the first game and then seeing this one in person, because Kilby's strength this whole season has been putting the ball on the deck and playing good football, possession football, finding their openings, getting it through, and somebody on the end of it being Craig Malcolm or whoever else to finish it, basically. Cove were really kind of strongly counter-pressing them, getting in their faces, winning the ball back. Kilby just couldn't get anything going, basically. And any time Cove won the ball back, they were lethal on the counter-attack, really quick, direct football. There always seemed to be a clear-cut chance at the end of every counter-attack they had, be it Megginson or whoever else had a chance of putting a shot on goal. Whereas Kilby's opportunities, generally, every time they had a pop shot or something like that, there was a guy there to block it. So it was a tale of two different teams, but Cove's style of play was just the antithesis to everything East Kilbride have done this year, and they couldn't play their own game, basically. So we Rangers ended up deserved winners in this one.
Yeah, it sounds like it was a really decent performance from Cove, obviously. I noticed, Sean Winter's tweet yesterday, obviously, massive disappointment. Kind of East Kilbride have been wanting to get to League 2 for a few years, but Cove are the exact same.
Yeah.
And they've got quality players. They've been there and done it in terms of almost getting to League 2 that we've seen. I said that's not all about Mitch Megginson, but it sounded like he made a massive difference in this game. But they're a fantastic team, a fantastic outfit. They've got the new stadium that you guys attended. They've got the fan base there as well. They are pretty much on level with a lot of the Lowland League teams. You know what I mean, in terms of the facilities and wanting to improve. I think it's always going to be difficult getting to League 2. I think this was the best chance based on just Berwick not doing so well. Probably one of the weaker League 2 teams in recent years, has to be said. So I think Cove do have an excellent chance. But I think going forward, Cove are a really strong Highland League team, and I don't know if there's another Highland League team that's going to be exactly like them. I think we could maybe have a bit of a spell, and it's no disrespect to the Highland League, but I think over the next few years there might be a spell of Lowland League teams doing well in the playoffs, and it's really up to them to get past the League 2 teams. I think this is just Cove we're a bit like East Kilbride in terms of they've been there before, they've done it, they've got excellent players, they're an excellent club. I just think there might be a bit of a spell of dominance. We saw it a wee bit in the Scottish Cup this season, a lot of Lowland League teams putting out Highland League teams, and again, as I said, no disrespect, but I think our league next season is going to be fantastic. I think it's going to get to a point though where we're going to have all these excellent sides in our league from next season, and they're going to have to either make it an automatic relegation or something, because the way it's going, you can't stop the team's progress like East Kilbride or a Spartans or a Kelty or BSC. You can't stop that. You're just doing harm to the game, really.
Yeah, and the other thing, just while we're kind of on the the topic, I know you'd mentioned there's a chance of a bit of Lowland success. We do need to eat a bit of humble pie at this point as well, though, because I think we were all guilty of underestimating Cove. Let's be fair.
I don't think that was me.
Me and Mozza spoke about that a bit on the way down the road, and
Yeah.
when you look at all the leagues above, so SPL Championship, League One, saw automatic relegation, and then even Lowland League, and next year the East of Scotland Premier League, it's going to be automatic relegation, so it's going to stick out like a sore thumb. I think that it's this one league right in the middle that it's not automatic relegation, and it's something that they're going to definitely have to have a look at.
But I mean, if you look at the Highland table, the reason I'm mentioning this is look how close Brora were to them, for one. So there's other teams there that are more than capable of picking up the mantle. So I still think it's a fine balance between the Highland and Lowland. As it stands just now, I think it's pretty level pegging. So we'll see how it goes over the next years or two to come. But obviously the Lowland's getting stronger every year. So we'll see if the Highland keeps pace with that. But I still think there's plenty of quality teams in there, even if Cove are to go up.
I think in terms of, obviously you said underestimating them, I think for myself, I'd seen them obviously last year, very impressed with them and whatnot, but for me, I think I just wasn't expecting the way they beat East Kilbride. I wasn't expecting them to be as dominant, but I certainly, I've said pretty much the majority of the season, I thought the Highland Lowland League game would be very difficult. I think that was the more difficult game out of the League 2 side, obviously at one point before Albion Rovers. Now it's obviously Berwick, and I think we all kind of expect Cove to do a job against them. Obviously a new management team, a bit late in the day. Ian Little, obviously the White Hill managers, moved back to Berwick. I don't know if that's in preparation of seeing what happens, or if they are actually just a final push to hopefully stay in League 2 for them. But either way, it was going to be a tough game. I mean, there's quality players at Cove. I wouldn't be so hard. As I mentioned, this Shaun Winter's tweet, very disappointed in that. I don't sometimes, and this is why I mentioned the thing about it has to get to a point where it's automatic relegation, because although I think I mentioned Cove, I think you guys as well mentioned the fact that Cove are far the better team. That's not always the case in these playoff games. You can't always tell with in two games how quality a team is. I think we mentioned it in the first game, Mozza, that East Kilbride, they looked a wee bit nervous, this, that and the next thing. Over two games, very stressful situation, obviously trying to get up. This is what guys like Shaun Winter, Barry Russell, they've been trying to do it for years. A lot of pressure, expectation. That sort of stuff can affect you, and I'm not, and it probably would have had an effect against Cove, in all fairness. But obviously, as I said, Cove the better team. But
I think I definitely was, purely from watching East Kilbride this season, how dominant they were. I think I let Cove off a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, I say a little bit, a lot too early, because they came out and they surprised me. I knew they were a good team, but they're a very, very good team.
Yeah.
I don't think how the scoreline finished, the 5-1 on aggregate, I don't think it's to take anything away from East Kilbride. It was Cove's style of play just made it very difficult for East Kilbride to play to their strengths. It's not that East Kilbride, I think they would have gone away to Berwick and I think they would have done very well playing against that style of play. It was the way that Cove played. They're a very good team, but so are East Kilbride. It was just the two different styles of play, and Cove's style of play just trumped East Kilbride a little bit, and I think it probably did force a bit of self-doubt in there. It definitely made them have to try a couple of things that they're not used to. There was a lot more hoofing the ball up at the beginning from East Kilbride, which you don't normally see, and they were forced by Cove to try and change up the way they were doing, which is commendable as well. But how the games went, it's not to take anything away from East Kilbride. When we spoke to Stuart Malcolm at the end, it was very similar to what Shaun Winter put in the tweet. They're very disappointed. It was right after the game as well, clearly very disappointed in the result, but I don't think that that one or two legs should define the entire season. They've had an outstanding season, and I think you make a couple of changes. it wouldn't have necessarily got them over the line. Cove were just a very good team, and it counteracted the way East Kilbride played.
Yeah, and the other thing, when Stuart was good enough to give us a bit of his time, we'd also had a wee chat there about next season and kind of what comes next for Kilby, because I think this is going to be really important now. That's 2 years on the spin that the Lowland side has been pretty handily dealt with in the playoff, both times with Cove writing off. But Kilby especially, given that they've got so close in the past and they're desperate to get up. Firstly, Stuart really wants to stay on. He's not been given the kind of heads up on what's happening as yet, but he's really keen to get back down to the training ground and get moving again, get the squad reshaped, get another assault in the league going. So we'll see what happens in that side of things. And when we were talking about it on the way down, Shaun, I think we're both in agreement that he deserves that shot after the way he's picked up the mantle from Brian Kerr moving on, and he's done a cracking job with this Kilby team to keep things moving.
Yeah, I'm intrigued to see how he'd do with having this wee break between the seasons, to for him to sit back, take obviously a break, have a look at his squad and actually implement the things that he wants to see, because he took over that squad. He's done really well with it. Maybe changed it up, but he would have had to keep playing the way that they were playing to their strengths. I'd like to see him get a stab at a full year, because I think he's done a tremendous job in the sort of 7-8 months that he's been in charge. It'd be great to see him get this break between the seasons just to reassess, and then have a full season, a stab at it next year. And I think they'll be strong enough to, they will be competing 100% in the league next year.
Yeah, agreed. I think just reiterating what you guys said, he's done a fantastic job, Stuart Malcolm, and I think he's well liked amongst the squad as well, and stuff like that. So I don't see them. It would shock me if East Kilbride changed the manager. I think it's been a good learning experience for Stuart, but he's done a fantastic job. He's played the cards that he's been dealt, and he's done fantastic. I think. Again, it'll be disappointing, but at the end of the day, for me, he has to stay on. He's done a fantastic job, especially. I think if you remember his first game, he lost his first game against Civil Service. One of the 2 games he lost this season in the league, and they weren't top of the league when he came in as manager, and they just went on a fantastic run. We know they're full of quality. It's just one of these. It wasn't their year, if you will, for a better lack of a better phrase or whatever. But yeah, I'm disappointed, but I'm also happy in a sense that we get to see East Kilbride again next season, but obviously disappointed for the lads there. But a great club. I'm looking forward to more visits to K Park next season. And just as we've been recording, obviously there was another Lowland League Cup game, quarter final. It was Stirling University versus Edisport. At the moment, I think there's about a minute to go, and Stirling Uni are winning 4-1. Kieran Hall doing quite well, I've noticed. It's good to see him back. Obviously he was injured. I think he's only been back recently. I'm trying to see who else. Blair Lyons, obviously, all these sort of guys. And one thing, Rory McEwen's another Stirling Uni boy that's left. He signed for Elgin. I think a lot of these guys, like Blair, Rory, Lewis Hunter, these guys will want to end their University of Stirling their association with the club off on a high, and they're certainly doing bits to do that.
Just as we're speaking there, it's actually just gone full time 4-1. Although funnily enough, Edgesport got a penalty right at the end and the keeper saved it. So there you go, a wee bit of drama right at the death.
Penalties never go well when Stirling are at home for either side. I think if
they really don't, do they?
Yeah, I think if we would do a bit of research, there's probably not many more goals and saves this year. Outstanding.
Bit of the curse of Forth Bank there.
A little bit, aye.
I'm not going to jinx them by backing them, but it's good that they're through.
Yeah.
Fairness to Edisport guys, they were playing a lot of their under-20s team. I noticed that in their squad. I think it might have been similar with University of Stirling. I never checked their full team, but it's guys, as I mentioned, I think it's guys just wanting to do well for the club before they move on, if you will.
Chris, the boys march on into the semi-finals of the Lowland League Cup.
Yep, thought we thoroughly deserved the victory.
The score was opening by Kieran Hall, who was on fire today, wasn't he?
Yeah, it was Kieran's first game back. He got injured in a university game about 2.5-3 months ago down in Nottingham. He's been working hard the last 3-4 weeks in training, and we brought him in today, and I think you've seen his hold up play and his running, and he thoroughly deserved his goal. It was an excellent finish, played clean through by Blair, and he whipped it round the goal. He got his hand to it, but Kieran done everything we asked of him today, so that's really good to see.
Second goal, there was a little bit of uncertainty amongst the ultras of who got the final touch. We'll just clarify that for us.
It was really well worked, free kick from out wide. Dom hit the shot, and then he says it was going in, but Angus tapped it home, so Angus got the second one.
And then the next goal, Edgesport, it was a fine finish, wasn't it?
Oh, really good. They brought a boy on up front. He's ran off his shoulder, and Dom thought he had him, but to be fair to the boy, he's took a good touch and he's put it right across Kev in the corner for 2-1. So at that stage, you're going, there's a few swear words getting thrown about, because we had lots of chances there to finish them off, and we never done it. And then obviously, really good kick by Kev. Edgesport was starting to tire, and Blair's nipped in behind the centre back, and he's took it round the goalie, and it's an excellent finish with his left foot for 3-1.
And then to finish it off, we had a goal from Craig Brown.
Really good. It was a 1-2. Craig to Blair. Blair took it down the wing, cut it back to Craig. Craig hit the shot. The keeper saved it, and then he's tapped it in for 4-1. And then in the last minute, obviously, Edgesport got a penalty. It was a penalty. Silly challenge from us inside the box, and Kev's made a really good save to keep it at 4-1. So delighted with that. So
another eventful afternoon at Fourth Bank, and it's on to the next round, BSC next.
Yeah, it's a free hit. Listen, BSC are an excellent team. They've got some very good players, so we know we're underdogs, but we've been underdogs all season in the cups, and we've done really well. So to even get to this stage, probably no one thought we would. So listen, we'll go there next week, and we'll have a good. It's a free hit for us, so all the pressure will be on BSC because they finished second in the league, and they've got all these talented players and ex-seniors. But listen, our boys are confident and we're strong, and listen, we're scoring goals, and that's if we can score goals, we're a match for anyone in the league. But if we don't, then it's a difficult game for us.
Well, best of luck for next week, Chris. Thanks very much.
No problem. Thanks, David.
So the semi-finals of the Lowland League, it's going to be BSC Glasgow versus University of Stirling and Spartans versus East Stirlingshire. In fact, I think both interesting fixtures. BSC at home, obviously Spartans at home. Quite a few decent games between Spartans and Shire this season. BSC, obviously, as I mentioned, similar to Spartans and the rest of the teams who want that silverware. What sort of ideas do you have on these two fixtures?
I think they're both brilliant. You look at a BSC versus Stirling game. University of Stirling they're in tremendous form at the moment. They've been knocking goals in left, right, and centre. So it'd be silly to say that BSC aren't favourites in that game, but like Stirling, they're going in the with the momentum behind them, So I don't think we could just outright give it to BSC. And same with the Spartans versus Shire game. I had that one down as that was in my game of the season, the last time they played at Ainsley Park, and Shire definitely gave them a run for the money in that one as well. So even though you would think Spartans, because they're at home, I wouldn't be. They're both tough fixtures, both really good semi-final fixtures, I think.
Totally agree, yeah, and there should be goals in both as well, is the other thing. They're all four teams that are more than capable of sticking the ball in the net recently, so I'll be at that BSC Stirling Uni game naturally. I'm sure one of you two, if not both, will try and get along to the Spartans game as well. But you can't go wrong going to either game, so if anyone's stuck for something to do, if your team's finished up for the season and you can get to either one, I'd encourage you to make sure you do so on Saturday.
Absolutely, and we've obviously been plugging it the last few weeks on Twitter. Mozza, your team of the year or team of the season, if you will, is out. We're going to be running the polls this week based on our four selections, I guess. It'll be between my team of the year, your team of the year, and Shaun's team of the year. Plus, I think we'll all agree on the fourth, if you will, and you guys will have a chance to vote for it via Twitter. There's a lot of guys I think that deserve a wee shout out, but we've limited it to four because that's all the poll allows. I think we could have had maybe 5 or 6 in each bit, but we'll limit it to 4. It's not going to be the same as obviously the Scottish Lowland League 1, which is open for another, I think, till the 20th. So you guys can still vote for your Player of the Years, depending on how you sport and all that sort of stuff. And we obviously mentioned that Craig McBride, I think he's been made captain of that team, by the way, from what I read. So vote for yourself as well. If you might get vice captain or something. Who knows? But yeah, certainly it'll be interesting. There's a lot of guys that I feel deserve to be in the four, if you will. But we did have a lot of similar players, so definitely a shout out to a few other guys that have done well this season. We'll move on to plugs. As always, I'll let you go first, Derek.
Yeah, no worries. So on Twitter, at Mozza Plays with 2 Z's in there, you'll generally find anything and everything I talk about or do from there. How about yourself, Sean?
You can find myself on Twitter, it's at Spend Shaun, I believe. And also I keep tabs on the Facebook Lowland League Catchup, so you can find us on there as well.
Yeah, but on Twitter it's at official Catchup, and obviously I've been Rampant FM, and you can get me on Twitter at Rampant FM. It's been a bit of a weird one for me this week, guys. Obviously not been to any games. It's not like me, but cheers for keeping us updated on the likes of the East Kilbride and Cove Rangers game. Obviously a massive disappointment for East Kilbride, but again, it's going to be fantastic next year. We're coming towards the end now. It's just the quality improves, competition improves. We obviously want to thank everyone that listens in. As always, we want to thank the managers, the players, the clubs for their support, the league, and obviously George Fraser. And we will see you next week.
See you then.
See you later.